say one thing here about this this woman back here who was talking about her rights. We're going to get into this a little bit more here, going into the limb clinic. This, by the way, is the limb clinic, which, you know, kind of obvious. There's the sign. But, you know, where she was... Oops. I stepped off. What she was saying about, you know, what I do with my body is my choice, my own right. I'll get enhanced if I want to. I'll get it done illegally if I have to. You know, this again echoes back to the fact that if you go back before Roe versus Wade, and I know I'm using the abortion ruling as an example, but you know, you have to think about it. A lot of women were getting illegal abortions done, and there is a very big, thriving black market for it. And if you look around in various areas of the world today, there are other societies where there's a very thriving black market for illegal abortions, and for the same reasons. Or, well, similar reasons. I mean, basically the feeling that, you know, it's my right what I do with my body and all that. And it's more complicated than a lot of people make it out to be, simply because, to an extent, yes, it's true if it was only about you. But as I said, if you make a choice about your body that then winds up causing unforeseen impacts on other people, then it's not just about you. I'll give a different, simple example. I'm a vegetarian, and I have been for over 20 years now. Back around, well, actually, say the year 2000, I could get a vegetarian foot-long Subway sub for $3 in America, or $2.99 really. It was at that time. The more expensive areas, like down at the Renaissance Center in downtown Detroit, they charged more for theirs because their rent was higher, so they were like $3.50 or $3.60. Today, you know, a little over 10 years later, it's $5. Or even more in some places. You know, the same stores, same place, same ingredients. You know, nothing has changed except the minimum wage has gone up, the cost of living has gone up, gas has gone up, you know, but also Subway has expanded their line to include things, for example, their toaster ovens where they offer to toast your bread beforehand. Now, I could care less, okay? I don't think there's any point whatsoever in toasting a sub, and I certainly don't want it on a veggie sub. But, you know, other people will get their subs toasted. A manager at Subway told me the reason that they changed over from the Pepsi-Cola products that they used to have to the Coca-Cola products that most Subways carry now is because Coke paid partially for those toaster ovens that were put into the stores. So, as part of that agreement, they had to switch over to Coke products. Since I drink Mountain Dew, that's not cool for me. This is an example, okay? Another example would be, you know, the various meat subs that they have at Subway, and they've expanded that line, of course. They offer more today than they did back in the late 90s or around the year 2000. But you see, my veggie sub, the ingredients are the same. I'm getting the same stuff on it today as I did back then, but I'm paying almost twice as much for the sub. My point here is that the choice of other people to go ahead and eat toasted subs, the choice to eat, you know, these various different forms of meat subs where the cost has gone up, is causing the price to be so much higher for me, even though my sub is exactly the same. Now, granted, my price would have gone up maybe some because vegetables are a little more expensive and stuff, but no, the majority of the price is not because, you know, the price of things has doubled in 10 years. No. I mean, I know that even just from shopping for other groceries at the grocery store, or say, you know, like frozen vegetables and stuff like that. No. You know, it's because of these other subs that they offer and the freedom of choice that other people want those products, but indirectly it's causing me to pay a lot more money for my sub, even though I don't want those other selections. So that's kind of another analogous example to the whole thing. It's not a simple, black and white issue. It's not just me, 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 because everything is interconnected, and choices that you make for yourself will have an effect on other people, even if you don't directly see them. And frankly, a lot of our choices, people don't see the effect that they have on other people. I'm going to go ahead and go into the limb clinic because it's pretty short. We'll go ahead and complete that part.
Mr. Jensen, David Seraph told me you'd be dropping by. I've just been reviewing the test results we received on you last week.
Should I start rolling up my sleeves?
Surprisingly, no. I see no trace of glial tissue buildup in any of your charts.
It's been 6 months, Doc. Shouldn't I be on neuroplasticity shots by now?
One would think, but these test results show no signs of implant rejection. If anything, the bond between tissue and electrodes seems to be getting stronger.
So I'm free to go?
Well, Mr. Seraph did ask me to discuss another topic with you. You are aware that several precautionary measures had to be put into place during your first surgery?
Not all of my implants were switched on, I know.
The damage caused by the hematoma had to be taken into account. Your brain needed time to recover, to get used to the mechanical neural processors and turn them on naturally over time.
Cut to the chase, Doc. What does Seraph want?
He feels that you might be ready to speed up the activation process using special software known as Praxis kits.
You mean I don't have to wait for my augmentations to kick in naturally anymore?
You can, if you prefer. But Mr. Seraph did make a generous donation to LIM in your name, thus ensuring that Praxis software linked to your particular neuro enhancements would always be available to you and you alone. Please, take a look.
Yeah, so this is an interesting point. They give you 5,000 credits, which is what the Praxis kits cost. Of course, I already found one and used it, but each Praxis kit gets me a Praxis point. This is an interesting mechanic they threw into this game compared to the first one. Frankly, I'm not totally satisfied. It seems kind of weird. I'm sure they're making excuses in the story for it, but in the first game, basically, there were containers of the nanites that you could carry around, and then you could go ahead and inject them into you when you found a station. But you had to choose your upgrades like that. You couldn't just, like, on the spur of the moment, upgrade at any point in time. Whereas in this game, in Human Revolution, that's what you can do. The smart thing to do, of course, is, retain a few Praxis points so that at any point in time, if you're facing a choice between a couple different paths and you don't have the proper augmentation to go ahead and go the way that you want to go at that particular place, you could be almost in the middle of combat and pop open the menu and go ahead and choose a new augmentation out of nowhere. I just don't like that mechanic. I think that it's kind of lame from a game perspective. It seems to kind of violate the immersion ideas, but I don't know. I mean, other people might like it. I'm not completely against it, but compared to the first game, I think the first game's system was better. And especially, one of the other things about the first game, since you were carrying these canisters of nanites, these were physical canisters of nanites. Okay, so you had to carry them in your inventory, so they took up space. So carrying them and keeping them until you could use them, you had to reach a certain machine to use them. But I mean, that's a strategic decision. You would have to drop maybe other things in order to carry them. And I really liked that system because it adds to the inventory management aspect, which is a key point of this game. But, you know, I've got 25,000 credits right now. Well, 10,000 of those were the freebies, so I really have 15,000 right now. So I would say probably go ahead and buy 3 Praxis kits. Because at this point, I guess that's really what... Oh, I can only buy 2. Okay. Well, fine. So I won't buy 3. I'll only buy 2. Okay. That's how they want to play it. Fine.
Very well, Mr. Jensen. Use it in good health.
So anyway.
If you'd like to obtain a license, all you have to do is make a generous, tax-deductible donation to LIM. If you'd like to obtain a license, all you have to do is make a generous, tax-deductible donation to LIM.
Nice jacket. I bet you're hiding some real cutting-edge enhancements under it, aren't you?
Could be a little sexual innuendo there.
My ex-boyfriend was a pro-human purist. The bastard. Dumped his ass as soon as I figured out what he was.
Have you had a lot of work done here in Detroit? This is the first time I've actually had the guts to walk in the door. It's a big step, but I've wanted to do this for ages.
My first surgery. It's expensive, but you gotta look at it as an investment in the future. My first surgery. It's expensive, but you gotta look at it as an investment in the future.
And that could be one way of looking at it, I suppose.
I really don't see what all the fuss is about AUGs. It's just progress. Stand still and you get left behind, know what I mean?
Getting AUGs is the way to go, man. Now how are you gonna defend yourself in today's world without AUGs? You come up against a damn criminal that's all geared up, what are you gonna do? It's survival of the fittest.
That's kind of another way of looking at it, I suppose. These guys are great. They're standing right in my way.
You've got to look at augmentation surgery as an investment. I would kill to work at a place that had an augmentation subsidy policy.
Hello? There's other people he could call.
Okay, so we got a couple ebooks here.
Dr. Chetri,
Building Wings, A Better Tomorrow by David Seraph. And again, here's the Icarus, you know, the whole Icarus, Daedalus kind of motif that's throughout the game. Where we risk allowing our technology to divide us is in the very question of regulation. Some would argue that augmentation, which by its nature is a mechanism whereby humans can transcend their limitations, cannot be allowed to be freely available. While on the surface such calls for regulation might be seen as a reasonable response, in the long term such stigmatization will work against our society. We already live in a culture of haves and have-nots. Those rich or poor in terms of money, those impoverished or affluent in terms of data and knowledge. To willfully blockade the spread of human augmentation